Hey, everybody, Kevin here with Pursuing Pixels, and welcome back to another edition of Save It for the Cast, and you know the drill by now. This week we've got the full crew in the house once again, so I'll be kicking it over to John, Randall, and I here in just a little bit after I rattle off some of the stuff that I've been playing. Once we get over to the conversation here, we'll be talking a little bit of like Nintendo stuff. I kind of give some second impressions or some like follow-up thoughts on Kirby and the Forgotten Land after playing all the way through that one with my nephew recently over the last 4, 5, 6 babysitting sessions. And then we talk a little Princess Peach Showtime. We don't really talk Breath of the Wild, but we kind of start off there, talk a little bit about Metroid Prime 4. And then once we talk a little, or we barely talk it, but we, mention Metroid. And then we spin off talking a little Cave Story, which I've been playing through lately. And then we talk a little End is Nigh, some Knit. So some of like the early days of like freeware indie games, and then into the early days of indie games on consoles. And then, a little bit of tribute gaming, or tribute games, I should say, at the very tail end of the conversation, talking some Scott Pilgrim EX, which just came out. None of us having played that yet, but just kind of excited that was announced, or at least some of us are excited, more than others that was announced, but excited to see Tribute getting some games, some more beat 'em ups coming down the pipeline. So, excited to check that one out eventually, but on to some of the stuff that I've been playing as of late. I've really been playing through a ton of demos lately. I've also been playing, like I said, Cave Story. I've actually been dipping back into Cuphead as well. But I think I'm going to lean into some of the indie Steam demos that I've been checking out lately, one of which I actually went right ahead and scooped up on Switch, which had a steep discount. So I'll start out with that game. It's called Fowl Damage, and I played through, like I said, the demo on Steam. Saw that it was just released recently on Switch, and it was on sale for $3, normally $10. So I was like, oh, well, I'm definitely going to grab this, especially after checking out the demo here. And this is like puzzle-heavy precision platformer, very reminiscent of Leap Year from Daniel Linson, which I've also talked about on the podcast in the past, in the sense that like you play as this egg, and you're, it's like kind of like an exploratory platformer where you're, zipping around these sort of, exploration Metroidvania-esque levels, but you play as this egg, and you can just roll and then jump, and you do this super high jump. But if you land back on the ground, the egg will just shatter, and you're limited to, I don't know if it's a 2-tile drop or a 3-tile drop, but you're basically able, you got to look at the lay of the land on these kind of single screen layouts on these, Metroidvania maps, if you will. And try to find, okay, there's like a ledge up there, so I can jump all the way up to the top, and then I can see like all these little lips that I can just roll down to, and it just gets really, it's just really cleverly designed on the level design. I really like the pixel art a lot. There's some cool chase sequences where like there's this giant like robotic mechanical arm that's following behind you, so it gets a little actiony, even though you got to lean into the puzzle solving. Like you still have to find the correct path, but there's tons of secrets hidden all over the place. Like I said, I really love the demo on this one, and for $3, even for 10, it would be a fair price, I believe. I have no idea how long the game is, but if you're into like a Metroid Brainia, if you will, seems to be like the new term that people seem to be using for this sort of game. But definitely having a lot of fun with this one. Played all the way through the demo, and then played through quite a bit on Switch, like all the way through what the demo had to offer and then some. So I'm really loving this one. And then another game that for whatever reason I just kind of had paired together with it on Steam. In my head, I thought they were developed by the same developer, but that's not the case. But the game is called Vampire's Best Friend, and I might have just had it mixed up because this is the developer of a game called Shooting Saucer that I've also talked about on Save It for the Cast in the past. But this is like they call it an open-ended bat-former, and the reason being you play as like a bat. With the game being called Vampire's Best Friend. And the game, it kind of like flips platforming on its head a little bit. At first, I was a little bit lost because it doesn't give you any kind of tutorial. You started as this bat just hanging from the ceiling, and you press any button on the controller, and you just like flap down, and all of a sudden you're like kind of right above this chandelier, and you can press, I'm using, like I said, a controller, and if you press either the left trigger or the right trigger or bumper, you can use the face buttons as well, but I found the bumpers to be the most comfortable because you're either flapping to the left or flapping to the right, and I still couldn't figure out exactly what to do. And after a certain number or a certain amount of time, you would just die. So I was like, what the heck is going on? And I watched a quick video and realized that, okay, so once you detach yourself from the ceiling, there's like a timer at the top of the screen that you have to reattach yourself to another, flat surface on the ceiling before that timer runs out. So you got to kind of navigate around that chandelier, down a little further into the level, and then very quickly, because that timer is pretty short, you got to quickly navigate your way up to the top and find like I said, a flat surface that's parallel to the ground. There's a lot of angled, 45-degree angles that you're not able to latch onto. And then the main gimmick of the game is you're just supposed to like explore around and find all the hidden garlic. Some of it not so hidden. It might just be like in a challenging spot near some spikes or near I haven't really come across any enemies that I can recall. Maybe there are. I'm drawing a blank because I really have just been ripping through a ton of demos lately, but I really found this game super fun, and I really even loved, like, for the demo, they had this caution tape, and I've seen that before in a couple other games that I'm drawing a blank on what they were in, but yeah, this, like, yellow caution tape that just was, like, a demo wall, basically, that you couldn't get beyond there. But yeah, there's, like, some just full garlics, hidden around, or on some stages, or, screens, if you will, because it's all one big, like, stitched-together Metroidvania-style map. You're not getting any new abilities or anything like that, to the best of my knowledge, but some of the screens will have like 5, garlic bits that are scattered throughout, and you got to kind of weave your way through the stage. And there's some like kind of pinball-esque elements where it's kind of cool. Like, even if you run fully out of your like flapping timer or whatever, if you're still airborne and you don't touch the ground, if you're like kind of pinballing off of these, I think they were like flowers or something like that. But whatever they were, I was kind of pinballing off of them and eventually bounced up into a ceiling that was, a flat surface, and it was able to extend my run a little bit there. But it's just so even more instantaneous. Like, if you die or if your timer runs out or if you hit a spike, you just immediately spawn at the last spot that you were latched onto. So it's just it's just so satisfying. And even if you're like getting frustrated on a spot, in that same Super Meat Boy fashion, you're just like, okay, let me try it again. And I just really, really am having a blast with this one, and really love the presentation in particular. The pixel art and the music is just fantastic. Even more so than Fowl Damage. I like the music and presentation in Fowl Damage a lot, but Vampire's Best Friend is just speaking my language a little bit more, I think. And then on to another game that's speaking my language big time. This is like kind of like a sequel or a spin-off to Curse Crackers, For Whom the Bell Toils is the first game in the series. And then this game is called Curse Chapter, Dawnthief. Dawnthief is all one word, and this is from Color Grave Games, and I'm just such a huge fan of their stuff across the board, just talking about pixel art presentation and all that stuff. Like, this game is absolutely no exception. They're really kind of leaning into that like Game Boy Color-esque, pixel art style palette. It's got a little more depth to it than that, quite a bit more depth to it than that, but that's like the first thing that kind of screams out to me, especially with the first game in the series, Curse Crackers. But back to Curse Chapter here, I think the main thing here is you're just playing as like a new character, and it's kind of like a side spin-off tale. It almost feels like reminiscent to like playing as like a different character in Shovel Knight, some of the different campaigns with King Knight, or I was going to say Shield Knight, which is not the case, but Plague Knight and Spectre Knight. And it kind of feels like it's kind of, borrowing a little bit of that energy. But I'm not, I haven't played all the way through Curse Crackers, partially because I've been waiting to play through it on Switch, and there's a physical copy release that you can pre-order, but I'm just like on the fence of like, do I want to pre-order it from this like exclusive, one-off website? I feel like it was supposed to come out last year. It still hasn't come out yet. So I'm kind of just like playing the waiting game on that one. But it's truly Curse Crackers and this Curse Chapter playing through this demo here. It's some of the most expressive 2D platforming I've come across in all my days ever, really. But I was going to say, since starting up the podcast or doing the videos and stuff for the channel, it's just so like acrobatic, and it's so my only gripe is like when you're running, the camera almost moves a little bit too fast, and to the best of my recollection, you can tweak those settings, and I just got to maybe play around with that a little bit. I'm not sure if you can do that here on Cursed Chapter in the demo at least, but I remember being able to tweak some of the settings in Cursed Crackers. But just in general, just talking about both these games, I guess, because I can't really just stick to Dawnthief here. I don't know, you can just so quickly, even when you're running at full speed, and even with that, light camera gripe, you're able to clearly see or quickly see, like, okay, here's an enemy, chain of enemies that I can springboard off of, or if I'm, running underneath, I can slide through this little gap, and maybe there's a little secret under there beneath the spikes. It's just so cleverly designed, and it's expertly designed, I should say. Like, even just this one level of this Cursed Chapter Dawnthief demo was just so, like, I just wanted to keep going and going. I was really bummed when it ended, but it's just some of the best 2D pixel art platforming around. The only other game that I can think of that's not developed by Colorgrave that kind of has like a similar feel that we've talked about on the podcast actually before is Gravity Circuit. Even like the presentation of that one, it leans into some of those, like, it's not Game Boy Color style, but it just leans into some of those palettes or something. I don't know, something about the pixel art reminds me of that there as well. But that's the only other game that I can think of that really just has some of this. And there's tons of other games, obviously, but that has this really expressive move set that feels so immediate, like you can get used to it instantly, but I feel like it would take a really long time to master. But it's one of those games where you feel like, even if you're not trying to speed run, like you feel like a speed runner. And that's my favorite type of platformer, where like even if you're not acing the challenges perfectly, you still feel like you're just like a master at the move set. I guess that just goes back to like Super Mario World and being able to finesse every little move with the cape and stuff like that. It's just it's so fantastic. And then one other game I just want to give a quick shout out to here as well, another precision pixel art platformer called Leap Galaxy. And the demo here, I was able to play through like 3 full worlds of the game, or at least maybe they're truncated worlds, but there were like 3, different biomes, if you will. And this is another, precision pixel art platformer, kind of leaning more into like a 1-bit aesthetic. There's a bunch of different palettes, bunch of different characters you can pick from. I only played as one, so I don't know if any of the other ones play any differently, but to the best of my knowledge, they're just like a different, different asset or different sprite. But the gimmick here is like you're basically just running and jumping around, and then you have this like star dash that you can use up to 3 times before you land again to recharge it. And then you can dash either, horizontally to do like, to the left or right to do like just to pick up some speed and, get a little speed burst, or you can dash up or down to either do kind of like not necessarily a ground pound, but just to, spike down a little quicker, or, launch yourself up to do like an extra, not a full blown jump, but you can do like an extra little like jetpack, triple jump. And then you're also able to use, like, for example, if I'm dashing to the right, it shoots out a little star behind me to the left, and there'll be like these little trigger pads that you have to, hit those with the star to open up the doors, or there might be a key you have to collect. And I've just been really impressed with like each world. Like it threw like an underwater section, I think I don't know if it was in the 2nd or 3rd biome, but the water, like the controls were like a little bit weird. It took some getting used to, and I don't even know if I fully got the hang of it, but like it still felt awesome. Like the momentum of like just diving into the water, and you go into like a bubble, and you're just like almost like felt a little pinball-esque, but you have a little control over your character, and you're trying to just like avoid the spikes real quickly and then launch yourself out of there, dash to the next little floating water bubble, and it's just so satisfying. Some of the similarly to Curse Crackers or Curse Chapter, either one of those, not quite in the same way, but even on levels where I was, you get either a 1, 2, or 3 star ranking at the end of the stage, and even on levels when I ended up with a 1, it still felt awesome when I figured out like the best path through the level. And I was just so impressed with this one. But I've been really looking forward to it for quite a while. The presentation on like the menus, just everything about it is just so juicy and satisfying. And it just runs like absolute butter, even on my crummy little laptop. So just super impressed with a bunch of these Steam demos. There's even a couple others that I've been checking out that I might give a shout out to down the road. Because I've just been going kind of ham on, recording some videos, and unfortunately commentary free. I'm hoping to get back to recording some commentary here soon on the videos, but just haven't had the energy or the, my back pain's just been kind of out of control. So I've had to put that on the sidelines for a little bit here, but I'm hoping to get back at it here soon. But nonetheless, really recommend checking out all these games. And without further ado, I'll kick it over to John, Randall, and I here for the rest of the chit chat. a little Nintendo and a little indie stuff coming up here mostly. So I'll kick it over to that here and hope everyone has a great rest of the week. And until next week, we'll catch you then and take care. I showed my nephew some videos of Breath of the Wild the other day, and he's mentioned it a few times. I was like, now this game, I think this will be a little too complicated for you, but just to wet his whistle. And he's like, what about Zelda Breath of the Wild? And I'm like, oh, you remember that one, huh? That looked pretty cool, huh? Mm-hmm. So I really want to show him that game. Yeah. We've been playing the shit out of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. We actually just got to the last world today.
Nice.
So that's been fun to replay. It's actually been, I feel like when we talked about that game on the podcast back when, undersold it on my end just a little bit. I think I was mostly positive on it, but kind of like, a little forgettable or whatever. But
I was mostly positive on it.
I feel like I was pretty positive in the sense that I was like, it's a fun game, but just kind of forgettable.
Let's check the tapes.
But whatever it is, going back and like, it's a little frustrating, admittedly, to play with my nephew because I'm like, come back this way. We got to look for the secrets. We got to get these Waddle Dees.
Yeah.
We got to look for these. We got to bring the baby ducklings back to the mother duckling.
Yes.
Like, no, you don't run so fast. So that's been a little frustrating in that regard. But like actually paying attention to more of that stuff because like normally when I play a game, I'm going through a little more thoroughly. So I'm finding enough of the secrets to where like by the time I get to the boss level, you have to have like a certain number of Waddle Dees rescued to unlock the boss. Mm-hmm. And like I said, normally when I'm playing by myself, I'm finding enough of the hidden goodies where like I don't need to go back and backtrack. But me and my nephew playing, we're just ripping through the levels. So like, oh man, we don't have enough Waddle Dees to unlock the boss yet. Ooh. So then we're going back and replaying the levels and having to like seek out those extra challenges. And like, there's some of them that are pretty cool. Like, bringing the baby ducklings back to the mother duckling and like really having to scour the level. Like I said, a little frustrating playing with my nephew at times. For the most part, it's been a blast, but I have been tempted to be like, I should go play those like bonus, like single player levels that get you like the stars that let you buy the upgrades for the power ups. Like I should do some of that single player on the side so that we can just pick up, and keep rolling. Yeah. Because we even faced a boss today where I was like, I think we like almost need to upgrade these power ups first because it's just, this thing is just like a damage sponge, but we were able to brute force it after 3 tries. But yeah, I definitely am going to do the same as you, Randall, and scoop that up on Switch too. I think I've said that before, but just especially because I can just give my nephew this copy with how much he loves this game. He keeps like gravitating towards it again and again and again. And I keep wanting to say Super Princess Peach Showtime. Mm-hmm. I downloaded the demo for that again today. I know I talked about it on the podcast back when, but I let him play through that demo today, and he just loves it. Like,
nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just absolutely loves it. It's a cool game. I definitely am ready to scoop that up. I bought it from Best Buy, but the copy I got came a little damaged, so I gotta scoop up another one and then just return it from wherever I get it from.
Oh yeah,
wherever
exactly.
I get the new copy from.
Yes,
because I got it for $30 from Best Buy, and that's too good of a price.
Oh yeah, that's tremendous.
Either that, or it's like it's barely damaged, so I might even just give this copy to my nephew.
Yeah,
and just buy it again myself. Get
it's worth it.
Copy at some point.
Yeah.
So
it's fun,
but
it's got great cinematic values too.
Great
high
presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you definitely can see a lot of that stuff, both in Kirby and particularly in that, at least in the demo, like a lot of that like kind of limited frame animation stuff that they do to kind of get by on the Switch.
Yep.
But the more I see it, the more I'm just, like, it's a little bit disappointing. But at the end of the day, it's like whatever. If the game's fun, the game's fun. I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
Obviously if I have a platform that I can run it better on, that might be, I'd prefer, like if I could play it on the PS5, sure, but I can't. So, it is what it is.
Switch 3.
Have you played that? Have you played that Switch 2 version at all?
No, I ended up returning that because it was in a return window, and I'm like, I was in my frugal era, so I'm like, no, I got too many things. So
I can't blame you for that, especially if you paid full price at that $80.
I did.
Because I've been like waiting.
I think I had some minor discount, but it wasn't like enough. It wasn't like $40 or $50 or whatever. It was definitely
I've been even waiting. I'm like, even if I see it go for $10 off, I'll probably buy it. And again, knowing that I'll gift my other copy to my nephew, I was like, I can suck it up and buy it but it's $70 for a game I already paid $60 for is like a little bit rough, even if they added some new stuff.
Yeah, agree.
I did want to ask Randall, would you be interested if I mailed you my copy of Metroid Prime 4 if you wanted to play it at all? Because I'm not going to play it anytime soon. You could take your time. You could keep that for several years.
God, you've just trashed it so hard that I don't know how much interest I would have in even playing it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like the controls are good. Like if you want to just play it for a little bit,
like a game.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yes, I'm interested, but I'm also trying to be honest with myself. Of like,
there's also a million games to play. You can but the offer's always there if the curiosity ever takes hold.
Yes. I do appreciate that.
I almost pulled out Metroid Dread the other day. I've really been on a Metroidvania kick after
that's good.
Record of Lodoss War and then Cave Story, which is like, borderline Metroidvania.
I'd say it is.
But it's got enough, of that backtracking going, a little bit of upgrading and backtracking. That's all you really need.
When did
to be a Metroidvania.
Cave Story originally come out?
I'm glad you asked, because for once I actually looked it up beforehand. I looked up both, and I'm glad I did, because I was way off about The End Is Nigh. The End Is Nigh, in my head, I thought came out before Super Meat Boy, and that game came out in 2017.
Yeah,
I don't know where the hell I got that from.
I didn't realize. Yeah, I thought it was earlier than that. I'll say that much.
I thought it was like right around the time of Super Meat Boy, and I for some reason I thought it was a little bit before, but I think I was mixing it up with Gish. Because Gish you play as like a very similar looking character.
Right.
And I think I just mixed those two games up in my head.
Right.
Never played Gish. I think I have it.
I don't think I have either. I think I might have downloaded it at some point, because I think it's a freeware game on PC. So I think I checked it out. Maybe. I can't remember. I might just be thinking of playing as the character Gish in Super Meat Boy. But shit, I forgot. Oh, Cave Story came out in 2004.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah,
and then it was 2010 for the WiiWare version was the next kind of official version.
Yeah, because I remember only getting the download version and it being ancient when I downloaded it.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't get it in 2004. I think I got it probably 2010.
I think I played it probably in 2010. Yeah. I think the WiiWare version was the first.
That's
version
definitely
that I
when I did. Yeah.
But I think I got it still on my Mac.
Nice.
I think that's when I was playing it.
That's sweet.
It's wild to me that that's technically a freeware game. That's how it was released.
Yeah. And that was the thing is it kind of was, I wouldn't say the first Metroidvania in that indie Metroidvania boom, but kind of was
it kind of was
the one,
yeah,
the one of most renown
especially of the indie variety. I think
there's that one. There's that La Mulana is another one of those games from that era.
Tesla Grad was a pure puzzle one.
Yep, that was in the Wii U-ish era there. Yep.
Knit or Knit, I never know how to pronounce it. I remember reading somewhere that you're supposed to pronounce that K in some way.
You're not
okay, but yes, Knit.
Knit is in that same vein. I fucking love that game. I think I talked about it on the podcast before, but Knit is maybe it's top 5, and I don't know why that game has just stuck with me for some reason. I remember playing it on my girlfriend that I was dating at the time. I was unemployed at the time, and I was playing it on her laptop with super sticky keys, and I just somehow stumbled across that game and downloaded it. And me and playing a platformer, it's not, you don't have to do any crazy precision platforming, but for me to sit there and play and plow through a platformer on a keyboard controls, I don't know why I was doing that, but I was just Yeah, I guess I was just like super depressed. I would just like lay in the bed all day, like on my stomach, just playing this fucking game on this laptop. And I just absolutely loved it. And then I did get to the point where I replayed, I think, through the whole game on a video for a stream or maybe just a regular video. But I think I played it front to back, and holy shit, it's still amazing. That's so
sweet.
good.
So Nick came out in 2007. And then VVV
after Cave Story? Wow.
Yeah. VVV
That's wild.
VVV came out in 2010.
Yeah, that was a big one of the era. I played that on Wii and on 3DS.
Yeah.
Yep. That was like the heyday. Like back when like the only indie games coming out there were still some duds, but like it felt like if an indie game came out on a console, it was a fucking banger.
Yeah.
Yep.
Guaranteed. Almost guaranteed.
Yes.
Again, many of exceptions, I'm sure, but like it was like Super Meat Boy, Braid, Castle Crashers, Geometry Wars. Like every game that came out on Xbox Live Arcade was like, holy shit, keep your eyes on this.
Oh, yeah.
I miss those days. Now it's just, there's way more good games in terms of like quantity, but in terms of like the stuff you have to sift through to find them,
I know.
it's quite difficult. Never did I think there'd be a day where I have to scroll through like a myriad of hentai games on a Nintendo platform just to find the game I want. It's like crazy.
Yeah. What's content moderation? Who cares? Put whatever you want on the store. We don't give a shit.
To be fair, that's not a Nintendo exclusive problem.
No, absolutely. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the fact
Shovelware.
that they caved to that, that they caved to that and letting companies like, I hate that Red Deer Games or whatever they're called. They develop and publish games, but they publish a lot of games on Switch, and then they continuously like publish like a new deluxe version, and there's like 20 different versions of every game not every game, but a lot of their different games, just so that they keep popping up on, kind of like how Spotify, we were just talking about that in the Discord, like stuff that just gets like, oh, we're going to trickle out the songs one at a time, or we're going to like marry these releases together to just like call it a new release, and just to stay relevant. It's like, no, get that out of here. It's like it's making it so much more. I used to love scrolling through the eShops and like looking for games. Now it's like a chore.
Yeah,
it is.
On any of them. Even with the better Switch 2 eShop, it's still a fucking chore.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's even more of a chore because you got to like filter through. There's like double listings of every game now because there's a Switch 2 version and a Switch version. It's so annoying.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that I even buy a game on the platform as opposed to buying it through like my phone or iPad or whatever. Like in a browser tab.
I almost never
letting it
do
download.
That's interesting. I almost never do it the way you do it, and I should maybe consider doing that.
Just a little cleaner to get directly to the game page,
at least faster to browse and stuff like that too. I know the Switch 2 is way better, but
still not great.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I don't know why this made me think of it, but I was just looking at the recent releases, but I totally missed or was unaware of the fact that there's a new Scott Pilgrim beat 'em up out.
Oh,
it's from Tribute Games.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm like, how did Tribute have time to like, after making, I know you just talked about that Marvel game, Randall.
Right.
I was like, where did they have time to like whip up this Scott Pilgrim game that looks like it's very much just carrying on the lineage of the previous one?
I mean, they've made a few
on the soundtrack.
They've made a few beat 'em ups at this point. Like they might have
they know what they're doing.
The
Just got it
skeleton
down.
like that they can like swap over like bespoke mechanics on top of like
just got like, a basic engine for beat 'em ups and just like, hey, swap in these characters and new artwork, and here we go. And obviously they got artwork down to a science over there.
Yeah, the game never fully grabbed me as much
science,
as I wanted it to, at least the first one. And then I saw some of the summaries of reviews for this new one were like, yeah, they're just kind of leaning a lot on the, gamer inside joke tropes. And I'm like, oh, that's a strong back away from me. No, thank you. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Maybe if it was on a super sale, just because it's a beat 'em up, and the first one I like for different reasons, but not all the way. But
The
Yeah.
first one definitely had some flaws to it, but it definitely had an energy
Yeah.
that was undeniable in terms
For
of
sure.
just the pixel art, the music.
Who developed the first one?
I want to say it was like a bigger company.
That's
like,
what I thought
not
too. Like I thought it was
in my head, I was
going
going to say EA or something.
Ubisoft is the publisher.
Ubisoft, yeah.
Ubisoft. Looks like some of their teams were developer too.
Because was it a PS3 game or a PS4?
That's the era I got. Yeah, the PS3, Xbox Live
first.
Arcade.
Yeah, 360.
Also 2010. Yes, interesting.
Yep.
Dang, okay. Same year as the movie, 2010. Yeah, I remember that being kind of in tandem with that.
I didn't realize that it was.
Yeah, I don't think it was like necessarily like affiliated with it, but they're just, riding
Oh,
the
of
wave
course.
of the,
yeah.
the
Take advantage
popularity.
of, yeah.
I definitely love that, like, Breath of the Wild, because again, I was showing my nephew the video the other day, and like we were watching just like the intro of the game, and like that very first part where you're like kind of running out of the cave and like getting to that little plateau or whatever that it is, the Great Plateau, and then it's like that little piano that's just like and it kind of just like does that little twinkle at the
great.
end, and like
It's
just makes you want to jump off a cliff with a paraglider. Like there's
Yes.
there's no other thing that you want to do after you hear that.
Yes.